Well, I'm here to do a video for a stitching pony that I built. There's a dozen or more how to build them projects on YouTube, so I'm not going to go through the actual build of my stitching pony. However, there was a couple features about my stitching pony that I thought I would share. One was a cam lock for actually closing the pony together, and I got that information from another member, KNFX787. He put his on there. I modified it a little bit. I really liked it. I think it was great. And so while one of the things I'm adding to my stitching pony is earth magnets. I found that when I'm stitching like a knife sheath, the lines or the strand or the thread is really long, and I keep dropping the needles on the floor so that I can tighten up those threads as I sew through them or stitch through them. Well, I thought I need to do something with these needles, so I started looking at maybe drilling holes or something to put them in just to hold them while I pull the threads tight. And my wife came up with a marvelous idea to attach magnets, earth magnets. You just stick the magnet or the needle to the magnet, it'll hold it till you're ready, and then you just grab it off there. You don't have to try to get the hole. I thought that was a great idea, so I'm going to go ahead and put those on. And then my stitching pony is not glued at the base, and because it's a little stout, what I'm going to do is add a piece of leather between the blocks on the base in order to make it so that it flexes a little easier to open and close. That's what my build's about, and that's what the video's on. Good morning, America. Okay, this is the stitching pony itself. It is leather wrapped. It has the cam that I was referring to that locks it, and I used 5/16 bolt, 4 inches long. I used a blind nut and pressed it into the wood and countersunk it so that it wouldn't rub. I rounded the end of the bolt so if it sticks out and I hit it, it doesn't scratch. And then I took a piece of tube stock, drilled and tapped it, and glued it onto the end of the bolt after I threaded it so that it wouldn't slip, and that way I can wind or unwind from this side and then lock it to hold it. I wrapped 4-pound leather around my jaws and stamped it with my logo. Custom Knives by Daryl Jernigan, Glendale, Arizona. I like it that it swivels, and this is where I told you that I did not glue the block. I actually bolted the block so that I could add leather between here and here to give it a little more flexibility for opening the jaws. I actually sit on it with my legs across here. It works really well. I'm quite pleased with the build. I'll make these modifications and then we'll call it a day. I make a lot of jewelry and other items as well. I use casting, spin casting, and this is jewelry and metal glue. All leans. I got it at a jewelry supply house. So I'm going to put that in here and push the magnet down into it, wipe off the excess. I found this to be pretty good glue. I'm doing some minor disassembly of the unit so that I can take the two risers apart. Taking the inner nut off. Washer for the stand or the base. That's a Teflon locking nut. I just torque it down to the setting that I like for tension on turning it, so that it moves freely but with some resistance, so that way it stays where I put it. In fact, you can still see sanding dust in here from where I just finished making this not that long ago. I'm going to remove my cam lock. I'm going to separate the boards. Here I'm setting up to cut the leather for the blocks, and it will go between the posts and the block to give it a little more flexibility so it opens a little easier. Cam lock works great for pulling it down. It's just that because it's so rigid, it doesn't really flex very much with these 5/16 bolts. So I'm going to add a little bit of flexibility by putting some leather in there and see how that works out. So I cut that. That's the first side. Need to mark it for the holes, so I'll turn it over, I guess, for that. Be a little easier to mark the smooth side. Drop a pencil in there. My punch. I'm going to take it on the concrete because there's no room here, or the table wiggles too much. It's just a cheap table. The punching didn't go as well as I had hoped, but it's good enough for what I'm trying to do. There's one. And I'll put the block back in. I used carriage bolts and countersunk them, and then press them into the wood so that they would bite, and that's what gives me my one-sided hand manipulation. Anyway, this by the nature is going to open it up a little bit anyway, which it was a little tight just to use. Okay. Yeah, better. A little bit of a gap. Now I got my bolts may not be long enough. Oh, nice. Well, we'll see what happens here. Maybe I can pull it in. After I get them tightened down a little bit, I'll try putting the washers back in. I probably don't need them, but oh, that didn't take. Maybe I won't get the washers back on with that second one in there. Well, maybe I can do just one. After it's been completely reassembled, I have the magnets there, and I wanted to show you that they work for holding the needles in place, and I can have the string hanging on them, or on the side with the larger magnets. So I'm quite pleased with the mod to this. It's like a compass. Anyway, I did forget to put back my cam lever. Again, I took this idea from KNFX787's video, and I thought it was such a good idea, and so I told him I would mention him for his idea. But let me turn it here so you can see, maybe you can see it close. Yeah, it's just real easy to use, and I lock it in the up position so it's not between my legs or when I turn it. So that's the build. Thanks again, and watch for my next video.